Royal Duality, Tales for the Silent One, Chapter 5.
Weeks had passed since the young cleric had arrived and had become enamored with the spider deity. Count Helmrich knew that the Evergreen rescue party was approaching the castle, and he realized he had a choice to make: to help them and betray his vampiric heritage, or to ruin the Fae and forever be haunted by his actions. As I'm sure you know, Eldora, Count Helmrich committed to helping the Fae, but told no one of his plan. In the meantime, he tried to please Driscoll, who was suspicious of the young Count's behavior. He tried to probe Helmrich and find out what was going through his mind, though he had little success in this endeavor.
I wonder, what do you think they'll be like, Driscoll?
Well, Master, in my humble opinion, I do not think they will take kindly to Oliver's newfound love for Isla.
I think you might be right. Though it is my prerogative to incarcerate them if they plan to make things difficult for us.
Master Helmrich, wouldn't it be better to just kill them?
We need blood, Driscoll, and it is a rare treat indeed to have such a feast of creatures within the castle walls.
Honestly, Master Helmrich, that doesn't sound like you at all.
I realize when I look at them how weak and small-minded they are. I can read their every thought, their every hope and dream. How satisfying it will be when we finally extinguish those flames of hope.
Oh, how splendid, Master Helmrich. It's just as we've practiced. After all this time, you really do sound like him. But that gets me thinking. Why would you suddenly do what I've hoped for after all these years?
His mind is too jumbled. I can't read it properly. His intent is unclear. I shall have to continue the pretense for now. You do not dictate the way I behave, Driscoll. Do you forget who my father is?
Oh no, Master. Definitely not. I could never forget him, no matter how much time passes.
Then you understand that as his son, you must do as I say and have my best interests at heart, regardless of your own preferences. So when I say I want something, you do as I say.
But, Master, do you have your own best interests at heart? I saw those religious relics spread out on the floor in your room this morning. That was quite a lot of mess to clean up.
Those items are precious. How dare you call them a mess?
So, you're not your father's son then?
Helmrich was not the only one in the castle who was experiencing difficulties. The spider deity was determined to have the Lycan from the Fae rescue party, Warren, to join her as a deity. Yet she herself didn't leave the inner sanctum. Pressure was placed onto her high cleric, Blackheath, to get Warren to where he needed to be.
High Cleric Blackheath had already bitten off more than he could chew with Sirius. Never mind bringing the Lycan into the fold.
Accounts of High Cleric Blackheath led me to believe he had always been very ambitious. It seems that was his downfall. The spider deity made it clear to High Cleric Blackheath that he could not fail. He did everything he could. This later came at a great personal cost. He did succeed, though. The Lycan Warren and the sprite knight, Sam, were lured into the spider deity's chamber. She was prepared to offer the Lycan something that he would be hard-pressed to refuse. You may recall that Warren was cursed. This isn't a secret, but lesser known as the owner of the blessing.
You can't have one without the other, can you? I'm guessing the Silent One doesn't know... or the Green One.
Isla, what is she talking about?
Let me show you.
You do wish to know the truth, don't you, Warren? About the owner of the blessing that balances your curse?
Warren, she's playing games with us.
I didn't ask you, little sprite. This matter is of no concern of yours.
He's my best friend. Of course it's my concern.
I want to know. Tell me, Ira. It's the fake Prince Louis, isn't it? That's how he became a prince in the first place.
Close, but not quite. It is the true Prince Louis who has the blessing. Your own adopted brother. The fact that he survived the Evergreen incident is a clear testament, isn't it?
I don't believe it. I can't.
You don't need to. And your belief, little sprite, is of no consequence to me. It is Warren's life that's in question. He can choose to believe me, or deny the truth. It doesn't matter which he chooses, though I think he knows that I wouldn't lie.
Warren, you don't believe her. Do you?
I'm not sure.
Don't you see? She's trying to divide the group.
There is one way to be certain. If you become a vampiric deity, then you would know for sure. Only cursed beasts can have such tantalizing prospects in vampirism.
No, I couldn't.
It's a scam.
It's a way to cheat fate. Why should he have to suffer? Why should he bear the burden of a Fae's blessing? You can never understand what it feels like to know that everything in nature is primed against you. Every outcome poor, every joy tainted. Knowing that this curse could catch up, could reduce all happiness to nothingness.
We can make his life better.
You can. Oh, how lucky for him. Now what about when you aren't there? What about all the weeks of solitude when you run away with the army? Should he be grateful for those too?
She tries her best.
Don't you see what they've done? The key to your happiness has been snatched from your own hand. The Fae treats you like a member of the underclass, and you're grateful that a seldom few pity you enough to treat you like an equal. What disgusting use of her privilege, to make you so desperate that you're attracted to her because she treats you with basic common courtesy.
I'm not stupid enough to think that you treat me any better. I know what vampires think of lichens. I didn't do much learning when I was young, but I know you treated us even worse than the Fae did.
Even worse than the Fae did? Warren, listen to yourself. What are you saying?
The lichen was tempted by the offer and seemed reluctant to say no to the great deity. The young sprite worried. She thought that maybe it was too late to save Warren from the irresistible temptation of godhood. But it's true. King Evergreen bears the blessing.
There's so much more in this story than I thought. The king balances Warren's curse. How is that not common knowledge?
Simple. The Fae don't want you to know, so you don't know. If you think the vampires are the only people obscuring facts, then you're even more stupid than I thought. So, Ira dropped the young cleric pretty quickly, huh? I'm not surprised. She's always been fickle.
I don't think that would be accurate. She was still worrying about the young cleric. He had been losing consciousness at random intervals for a number of days. She was quite rightly concerned.
Wouldn't Blackheath be in trouble if Oliver ended up ill for so long? Surely Ira wouldn't be happy.
I cannot say for sure, but I wondered if the deity wanted High Cleric Blackheath to clean up his own messes. As the Bat deity has mentioned, High Cleric Blackheath was struggling to maintain a number of plans he had set into motion. His control over Sirius waned without Oliver to aid him. He also had another nemesis to confront. The King of the Dead, Daedric, had sent his Duke, Christian, to try and capture the spider deity.
Ugh, Christian Rovenberg.
You've met the Duke of Death.
Yeah, he's had a bee in his bonnet about the vampires for years. Probably because the Evergreen group dumped him. So much for friendship, huh?
Dumped him? What do you mean?
You guys really don't know anything. Ira used to be King Daedric's advisor.
That was Christian's job in the story. Wasn't it, Silent One?
Yeah, but it was her job first, way before he was born. After the way he destroyed Evergreen,
Christian was the boy who spread the disease?
Yeah. Ira escaped and the advisor role was kind of free. When King Diedrich found out what Christian did, the young boy was dragged to the underworld and forced to take her place. I get it. Diedrich kind of saved the Flowerberry Forest, if you think about it.
I didn't realize that was the full history.
Didn't think you would.
As Eldora explained, High Cleric Blackheath despised the King of the Dead because of how he subjugated Ira in the past, and he knew that Christian would be there for only one reason: to capture the great deity. Yet he was amused when Christian appeared. His goal was not to capture the deity, but to save Sirius.
Sirius talked a lot about his and Christian's friendship at the start of the story. Then it kind of dries up. I always thought that was a little suspicious. Oh, Silent One, now I'm questioning everything I've heard. Are you? I'm glad I'm not alone.
Christian and Sirius's relationship is not part of the story I'm here to tell. I am running out of time and magic. Let's move along. Blackheath, Christian, and Sirius were all in the demon's dark and dingy cell. The air was tense. Sirius's mind had been corrupted by the High Cleric Blackheath for quite some time. Yet Christian sensed that the High Cleric's magic was waning, and decided to strike now to free Sirius.
Ugh, the stench of death draws near. Must be a descendant of the Vulture School. I can only think of one person that label applies to. Christian. You didn't tell your merry band about your true father, did you? I knew him, you know. I'd even consider him an esteemed and competent man of the cloth.
All the more reason for me to never learn anything about him. Seems like he kept terrible company.
You're in no position to talk. King Diedrich is the very definition of terrible company.
I suppose Ira told you that, did she?
How dare you speak of the great deity so casually?
I am a Duke of Death now. Her made-up title means nothing to me.
Nonsense! A boy like you, he'd never give you any kind of rank.
Fine, think what you want. I don't care.
That arrogance of yours, it's just like him. Like father, like son.
Let Sirius go, Blackheath. It won't make up for your previous transgressions, but it would be a good place to start. If you have any sense of fair, you'll take this request seriously.
Making an ally of Sirius was a terrible error in judgment.
Oh yes, Master Blackheath is correct. He always is, you know. There's no point in you even attempting to best him. Ugh.
Yeah, Sirius?
Your control is slipping. It won't last long now.
Master Blackheath can't be bested by an urchin like you.
Don't worry, Sirius. I can hear you. The real you.
While Blackheath struggled with Christian and Sirius, Count Helmrich was approached by none other than the Fey Royals. He was trapped between staying in his character as a count and helping the Fey as best he could. The Fey didn't know that Helmrich was forced to play the role that was assigned to him.
Greetings, Princess Flowerberry and Prince Evergreen. Were there not others with you?
Huh? There were. We've gone our separate ways.
That is a strange phrase for mounting a rescue attempt. Do not mistake me for a fool. I know your thoughts and your intentions. You come here to distract me, but I assure you, it is pointless.
Count Helmrich, you know my true identity. You know the princess is here too. We are a match for you. It wouldn't be wise to underestimate us.
I am not here to exchange threats with you. My intention is to allow you to take Sirius and Oliver back to where they belong, and I, myself, surrender to you.
Do you think we're fools, Count Helmrich? You haven't released them before now. And I don't believe for 1 second that I strike fear in your heart.
I am in no position to free them, but I will allow you to do what you must to rescue them.
Not in a position to? Nonsense!
Count Helmrich, if you are in no position to free them, can you tell us why?
If you do not trust me, then that is your choice. I am no enemy of yours. If I was, your minds would be under my control already.
Don't pretend to be reasonable and then refuse to answer our questions.
I have something I must give you. I'll be back in a moment.
I should hope you're returning presently. This is suspicious. Lewis, I'm worried.
I think he is trying to tell us something. If he is in no position to free them, then who else would have governance over this castle?
Vampires don't have kings or queens, but...
They do worship deities.
Up until this point, the Fae hadn't suspected that deities were involved.
It makes sense. I mean, they wouldn't expect a vampire deity holed up inside of a Fae castle. Though there was Iris Pace. She'll find any excuse to keep to herself. So, Count Helmrich helped the Fae because Neville told him to?
That is what I am able to see.
I'm not sure whether Helmrich really did hear Neville or whether he'd gone a bit crackers.
I'm afraid it's something we will never know for sure. Regardless of our thoughts on the matter, High Cleric Blackheath was becoming suspicious of the Count's motives, and in a moment of weakness, took matters into his own hands. He disobeyed the spider deity's instructions to leave Helmrich be, and killed the Count. He then set out an ultimatum to Prince Louis. If he wanted Sirius to be safe, he would need to meet the High Cleric alone.
To what end?
It was probably his intention to corrupt him, just as he had done with Sirius.
Blackheath, disobeying Ira. Wow, he must have been feeling the pressure. I didn't think he had it in him to go against her.
High Cleric Blackheath quickly escaped and awaited Prince Louis to find him. But as Count Helmrich lay dying, the Fae Royals squabbled about what they should do next. As Prince Louis departed the scene, the princess pitied Helmrich enough to stay with him until he drew his final breath.
It is not a fitting time. However, I must confess something to you, Princess.
Oh?
You have very pleasant features, identical to the Fae in the books from the library.
You've read the books in the library?
I did like to read.
Well, that is indeed a compliment. The illustrations are very beautiful.
There is one book called Ephemeral. It wasn't a fairy tale, but it always intrigued me.
Oh, I love that book too. It's written by one of my favorite Fae writers.
I am glad I got to meet you, however fleeting our time may be.
Hush now, you shouldn't force yourself to speak.
But I must let you know how wonderful you are.
But...
in your mind, I hear nothing but well-meaning thoughts. I am in awe. Oliver is my precious fledgling, but I know now you will take care of him.
I'm sorry. I misjudged you, Count Helmrich. I promise Oliver will be looked after when we return home.
Might you tell me what your home is like?
Oh, it is a wonderful place. The feeling of the sun on one's face in the morning, even in the winter months, is so comforting. The sun filters through the leaves so wonderfully. In the winter, they become an enchanting pale blue. It is a wonderful spectacle. The sound of the birds is most pleasant. Sometimes, in the town square, a minstrel plays the violin so wonderfully. I do so like violin music.
I, too, like the violin.
I can continue if...
Usual empty gestures from the Fae. If he'd survived, he'd have gone to prison. Dying probably saved her from the trouble of having to bring him back to Flowerberry Forest.
You're an incredibly cynical creature, aren't you?
Yep. And you know why? Because the losers of war generally are. The greater deities just let the war happen. They didn't get involved. They had the moral high ground, or whatever excuse it was, and hid. And you know what happened? Most humans and vampires ended up dead. We lost Karamachia and had to move to the hellhole Farkle. Nearly all of the clerics and lesser deities were gone. The greater deities are only great because they decided it for themselves.
You also survived by hiding, did you not?
Well, yeah, but we're not talking about me.
Good grief.
So Helmrich died with no rites performed. That's pretty bad for a count. That kind of power doesn't just fade into the ether.
Helmrich's power was never reclaimed or found.
Huh. And no one's noticed. Maybe it's for the best. Blackheath died before the end of it, too. Most vampires turned into dust. No wonder it's a big hit in these parts.
He did, but I am unable to see High Cleric Blackheath's death.
Huh? Unable to? What do you mean?